Arne-Thompson-Uther Index, or simply just the ATU Index, seeks to catalogue the various forms folktales and stories take. More specifically, it seeks to identify the many archetypes of folk tales and fairy tales and to categorize them. It was developed by folklorist Antti Arna and subsequently developed upon by Stith Thompson in 1928 and again by H.J. Uther in 2004. Every story tends to be a patchwork of various different episodes, such as episodes on receiving help from a supernatural entity, ATU 500, or being aided by grateful animals, ATU 402. The ATU Index highlights an interesting phenomenon, the shared characteristics that remain consistent between stories, even across continents and cultures. Its core purpose is to aid researchers in identifying the underlying structures of a tale and to cross-reference it with other tales from around the world which share the same elements or themes. Taking inspiration from both this and Ernest Grisey's illustrations of Aesop's Fables, maintained in the special collections of Bull Library, we will be analysing a series of Aesop's Fables and comparing them to fables with similar structures from other cultures.
Many fables and parables act not only as lessons but as explicit warnings. Aesop Fables has one such fable called The Fox and the Crow. The story follows a crow who has stolen a piece of cheese from a window. A fox comes along and upon seeing the crow's cheese, begins to flatter the crow so much she tricks into opening her beak to sing for him. As the cheese falls from her beak, the fox catches it and runs off, leaving her with a warning, and not all who present themselves kindly have good intentions.
Similar morals are found in two other folktales, The Talkative Tortoise in the Jataka Tales and Why the Tortoise Has a Cracked Shell from the Igbo culture. Both tell of a tortoise gifted with a chance to fly with the assistance of birds and the consequences the tortoise faces for speaking at an inopportune moment. The Jataka Tales are a collection of Buddhist morality stories, though they err much closer to folktale than they do religious text. These tales are often compared to Aesop's Fables, with many of the stories sharing motifs of anthropomorphized animals featuring in moral lessons. Many of these tales even mirror the plot of some of Aesop's Fables, such as The Talkative Tortoise.
The Talkative Tortoise tells of a story of a tortoise who befriends some swans. The swans are about to embark on a journey to the Himalayas, and upon hearing this, the tortoise desires to go with them. The swans come up with this brilliant idea to carry the tortoise between them with a stick the tortoise must bite into.
As they fly over a village, children remark on the sight. The tortoise, filled with pride, desires to climb it with their idea and they open their mouths to speak, only to instead fall to diamonds. The moral found within this Jataka folktale is that silence can be golden, while misspeaking can lead to folly.
The Igbo people, an ethnic group originating from southeastern Nigeria, have a similar tale. Why the Tortoise Has a Cracked Shell begins with a smooth-shelled tortoise, and all the other animals being invited to a feast served by the sky god. Having no wings, the tortoise asks two birds if they will take him with them, in exchange for securing them more food at the feast. The birds agree, carrying the tortoise the entire way.
Upon arriving, the tortoise convinced the sky god the birds are his servants and the tortoise should be fed before them. The sky god agrees and the tortoise is given a large portion of the feast. The birds, angry and unable to say anything in their defense, devise a plan to teach the tortoise a lesson.
They present the tortoise with a stick, saying if the tortoise bite onto the stick, they will use it to carry the tortoise back. Halfway through the journey, the birds let go of the stick and the tortoise falls to the earth.
All these stories feature some moral centered around holding one's mouth, and the consequences one can suffer if they submit to arrogance and hubris. Though one is unlikely to be dropped from the heavens by a pair of birds, these stories all use animal fables to convey the same message, to think before you speak.
In his fable, The Farmer and the Viper, Aesop warns against being soft-hearted towards those with ill intentions. The story details how a farmer, when trekking through a snowy field, comes upon a viper exposed to the cold and freezing to death. Seeking to aid it, the farmer takes the viper into his home, warms it, cares for it. When the viper recovers, it attacks the farmer, who succumbs to the venom of the creature he brought into his home.
The sentiment of this fable changes from version to version, with the amount of blame being placed on the farmer for his kind-hearted folly varying depending on the interpreter of the fable. Greek sources tend to hold the farmer in contempt for his folly in taking pity on a deadly creature, while Roman fabulist Phaedrus details that the viper bit the farmer to teach him not to expect rewards from the wicked. In any case, this tale of Aesop seeks to impart the lesson that one should be wary with who they show kindness to, and that not all good deeds go unpunished. This is not a sentiment that is restrained to the more rustic ancient cultures of Greece and Rome, but also extends eastward.
The Wolf of Zhongshan, also known as Mr. Dongwu and the Wolf, is a tale that originates from Chinese folklore. Imagined in approximately 17th century, this is a tale that features an animal known to be violent in nature and seeks to warn against being naive of those who may do you wrong. The story goes, when a wolf is being pursued by a hunting party, he comes upon Mr. Dongwu. Appealing to the man's morals as a practicing moist scholar, the wolf is able to convince the man to save his life by allowing him to hide in his bag.
When the hunting party passes and the wolf is safe, it emerges from the bag and informs Mr. Dongwu that it is hungry. It pounces on him, threatening to eat him. Mr. Dongwu protests that he had just saved the wolf's life. The wolf argues back that since the man had saved his life once, he should save it again now that the wolf is starving by letting the wolf eat him. The two argue back and forth until an old farmer passes by. The wolf and the man both present their case to the farmer, who, puzzled, says he doesn't believe there was any way that the wolf would have fit inside the man's bag. The wolf agrees to show the man and crawls into the bag once again. The farmer swiftly ties the bag closed and begins to beat the wolf with his hoe. Eventually, the wolf emerges, bloody and beaten near to death, telling Mr. Dongwu, if you are too kind to the wolf, you are harming yourself.
At first, Mr. Dongwu feels bad for the wolf once more, believing the farmer to be cruel for beating the wolf so badly. At that moment, the woman runs up to the two men and announces that the wolf had eaten her son. No longer feeling bad for the wolf, Mr. Dongwu takes the hoe from the farmer and deals the final blow to the wolf himself.
The story of Mr. Dongwu and the wolf, much like Aesop's tale of the farmer and the viper, teaches people not to be careless in who they are kind to, and that not all kindness goes rewarded. Interestingly, both of these tales gave rise to idioms that are widely used in their respective cultures. From the farmer and the viper was born the phrase, to nourish a viper in one's bosom, meaning to have one's act of kindness be met with ingratitude. Similarly, the Wolf of Zhongshan bore the label of a Mr. Dongwu, meaning a person who is naively kind to bad people and gets into trouble as a result.
From the dusty lands of ancient Greece to the vast savannas of Africa, we have thus far affirmed the ways different traditions of storytelling not only hold many thematic similarities, but structurally reflect each other in many different ways.
We shall now look at our final example, two tales from different cultures, ancient Greece and Africa, that mirror each other in many ways. In Aesop's tale of the Lion and the Mouse, we see the mighty lion, ruler of the jungle, sparing a tiny mouse who pleads for mercy. Days later, when the lion is caught in a hunter's net, the same tiny mouse chews through the ropes, setting him free, emphasizing how even the smallest can help the mightiest.
We can find a similar version of this fable across the seas in African folklore. Here the lion is replaced by another king of the wild, the elephant.
In an African savanna, the elephant, once having mocked a mouse for its size, is eventually saved from a hunter's trap with the help of the little creature. The mouse, despite its size, gathers its friends to help, gnawing through the ropes and freeing the elephant. The elephant expresses his gratitude, recognizing that even a small creature can have a great impact. Both of these tales mirror each other, having near identical plot and characters, with the only major point of variance being the setting. Both tales emphasize the importance of not underestimating others. The Elephant and the Mouse is a unique tale in its culture, as in many African stories, elephants actually fear mice, believing that they might crawl into their trunks and cause harm. But in some tales, such as this one, the mouse outsmarts the elephant, proving that intelligence is greater than size. The stories diverge slightly in their ultimate moral. Unlike Aesop's fable, which emphasizes kindness, African stories focus on intelligence and survival. These tales align with Africa's storytelling tradition of trickster tales, where wit is often the key to victory. So what do these two fables tell us? Both remind us that strength is not just about size, but while Aesop's fable focuses on kindness and gratitude, the tale of the elephant and the mouse highlights wisdom, wit, and the message that even the strongest have weaknesses.